It's another one of those days. What's up, guys? It's me, the man with the plan, the one that always talks about his day, huh? Here I am. I'm back. I'm ready. Talk to you guys about how the days are going with me. I know y'all haven't seen me in a few days, but check this out. Man, these days that passed by, has taught me a lot about my childhood. In my childhood, I kind of went through growing up so fast without, knowing the type of person that I was going to become. Raising a big family of cousins and aunties and uncles. I went to school, full time. But the thing about school was I didn't know that it required, a lot of learning and remembering, in elementary. Through elementary, I didn't have many friends. I just grew up just to grow up. I didn't have a lot of friends to talk to about my family and what my family represents to me. I grew up without knowing who I was and what my family is all about. I didn't know nothing about my family tree at that time because I was in elementary. When you're elementary, you don't think about family tree and stuff. I wish I would have learned that. Maybe, being what I am now, it would have been a lot different for me. But in school, I moved up to the next grade without even knowing that grade first before I moved to the next grade. So my childhood, I didn't know, that my parents, was trying to help me figure out who I was. But see, now in my childhood, now being a grown up and having a family of my own, it's a lot different compared to what I was doing when I was in elementary in my childhood. Because in my childhood, I didn't have many friends, and I figured out why. Because I think differently than they do, and I learned that thinking differently than other people, it's not because you don't know what they're about, not or what to talk about. It's just because you just think different. Everybody is different, even in children. Every child is different. Every child has a different way of thinking, different way of remembering, a different way of having an ability to do something. Imagination for me was the biggest step ever because I had an imagination that was beyond any other imagination possible because I believe that having an imagination makes you a more creative person. Now let's talk about that. Creativity. My thing is learning about something, a skill, something you're passionate about. You gotta find what you're good at. Whatever you're good at, that's what you're gonna become because that's what you're good at. Right now, I'm good at what Yeah, I don't know. I figured out what I was good at, and I feel like that job that I'm doing is helped me figure out how to be a more organized person. A lot of people have no idea what they're passionate about, but when they find it, you gotta train at it and train and practice until you master that part of that skill. Now, I know that it takes time to really realize what it is that you're trying to do or what type of skill you're trying to have. But once you find out what you're really good at and you're comfortable with, then it's gonna develop over time. A lot of people don't know what they're comfortable with yet. See, for me in my childhood, when I did make a friend or two, one kid named was Ivan. He was good at math. He was really good at math. He knew his numbers. He was a kid that was always running around with his friends, but he didn't hang with too many friends. He had maybe one or two friends. But Ivan knew about numbers. He knew about math. He was good with math. He was good with numbers. He can look at a number and can tell what that math problem is before the teacher even knew what it was. And I was like, I hung around this kid because I wanted to know how he was so good at math. you know. And when you're good at math, it's like, man, as I got older, I learned a little bit more about math. Math is just numbers, but it's also applying to your everyday daily situation. You got to use math with how to manage your money or how to invest your money, being smart investing your money, investing your money and budgeting your money. That takes time, and you have to learn what to buy and what not to buy, what's expensive, what's not expensive. I even growing up, this kid can look at any number, any number. He was, he lived in Los Angeles. We both did. We both grew up in the same neighborhood in Los Angeles. He stayed in Los Angeles, over there in the district of Crenshaw Boulevard. He stayed in the district, the urban part of the district, and he was really. I mean, this kid, you can give him a math problem, he'll solve it just like that. I couldn't believe my eyes how fast he can solve a problem. Because throughout elementary, I mean, as I got older, I like numbers, but liking numbers means you gotta know what type of math you're good at, because math is not an easy subject. Learning about math, it's not easy. When you're a math student, you gotta master that ability and practice learning how to do math. Because math is a step-by-step process. When you learn how to do math, you be good with money. You be good with a lot of other things. But for me, I was never good. Never good with math. But I practiced. But when I got to high school, it was a lot different because I was a math tutor, which shocked me. I mean, you guys are like, wow, you was a math tutor? Being a math tutor means you got to know math. And in high school, I knew algebra. Geometry, I had a little help with geometry because I took some classes in high school that allowed me to have extra help. Everybody needs help with something, no matter who you are or where you're from, to get you going forward in the day-to-day, your day-to-day, activities. You need something, somebody, or someone to push you. And I had a teacher in high school. I had a teacher named Ms. Valles. Ms. Valles was a math teacher. She pushed us a lot. She was very strict when it came to the rules and the concepts of knowing math. She was also the English teacher. So she was the geometry teacher and the English teacher. Ms. Valles in high school was a very excellent math teacher. I loved being in her class. I never wanted to leave her class, but because 10th grade, 11th grade, I couldn't be in her math class, but I was in her English class. But in math, I had a tutor in math because I was pretty, behind the other students. And, I took some classes that were, for special needs students with disabilities. But it was okay. It didn't bother me as much, but it may bother some people, but I grew up knowing that, hey, it's not just about that. It's how you apply yourself. Now that's a different story. How to apply yourself when you know math, when you know something and you're very good at it. You gotta know how to apply yourself. A lot of people don't know how to apply themselves. They apply it, but they apply it to the matters at that something that they never ever done before, and they find it challenging, and then they quit because it's too challenging. No, you can't quit something that's challenging. That's like anything you do in life. You can't quit. You gotta find something that you're good at and continue doing it until you get better at it. That's what I did. I practiced math. I kept practicing and studying. I found out later that I was good at math. I couldn't believe it. That I was tutoring other students in math. I'm like, wow, that's an amazing accomplishment when you tutor other students in math. If you're able to tutor other students and you're not good at math, that means you improve. That's a big step. That was a big step in high school. I tutored other students in math. Well, high school, yes. I didn't tutor anybody in high school, but I learned how math was what it was because through another student, that person was good at math. She knew the formulas. She knew the steps of the geometric formulas. I didn't know nothing about geometric formulas. I learned from her how to do math, and it was like, man, it was something that that illuminated my mind. It made me feel like, wow, I can do math too. You know, you can do math, I can do math. So she taught me something. We both learned from each other. It's good to learn from other people how to do something and you feel good about it. See, you do something that makes you feel good. If it makes you feel good and you're comfortable with it, don't get into a career that you're not comfortable with and you don't feel good about. Even if you don't like the career, just do it because you want to learn something new besides the career you used to do. That's the reason for you doing the career, because you want to try something outside of the career you're used to doing. A lot of people are not used to that type of environment, trying something new that they're not used to. But you got to get used to that environment of trying something different. Every environment is different. Every child is different. Their thinking is different. Their walking is different. The way they're talking is different. That's what makes us different. When you're a child, you think like a child. When you become a man or a woman, you think like a man or a woman. You develop from adolescence to, your teenage years, and then you become an adult. Becoming an adult not mean just going to work. No, becoming an adult means taking care of others, and you're able to take care of yourself first and others after. That's what it means to take care of your responsibilities. It means to take care of those that are able to ground you and give them the security blanket they need. I mean, you gotta balance yourself out first, though, before that happens. You gotta evaluate yourself before you evaluate other people. That takes years and years and years of learning and growing from someone who's experienced at that job. Let's say you get a job and there's someone who's been experienced for a long time. You want to learn from that person. Don't say you know. If you don't know, ask questions. If you're concerned about what the job is, details about the job, you got to ask questions about that and make a comment. Ask questions, make a comment, or suggestions or concern. If you're concerned about anything and something you don't know, you got to ask. How else you going to grow? That's what you have to evaluate. How to grow, how to develop, how to be greater, better than you was the next day. Every day you got to think of ways to being better. Excuse me. You got to think of a way to be better, because being better means understanding what other people are trying to show you. And once they show you, learn from them. You don't know what you know by on your own. You have to learn from what other people teach you. Whatever they're teaching you, take notes of it. Study it. Study how they talk to the next person. Study how they are giving the next person their information. Study how they look. They're showing an example of how it's supposed to be done. You got to follow that example. Every example must be followed. You have to crawl before you walk. That's an old saying. I know some of y'all have heard that. Crawl before you walk. You got to start from the bottom to work your way up to the top. That's what it means by 0 to 100. Some people go from 0 to 100 because they learn from the person that trained them in the beginning to going to 100%, being fully matured in that area. And some people, hey, they get it faster than others. It's okay. It's okay. It's good to take your time. People that learn faster later on, they still missing some skills that they didn't acquire when they was not taking their time. Taking your time and learning step by step is a beautiful, is very beautiful and amazing to know, to have, because you're doing something that other people want to. Now everybody wants to learn from you because you took your time, learn the things you learned. They say, oh, that person's slow. Oh, that person's not fast enough. Or you need to go faster. No, you need to find out why that person is so slow in their ability. You got to find that out. You can't just assume that person is slow because it's slow. No, you got to find out why that person is the way they are by talking to them, by walking with them, by speaking to them, to get to know that person. On a personal note, you got to understand where that person's mind is, because you don't know what they're going through. Everybody has a story. And if you don't figure out what that person's story is, like me, I have a story. I grew up in a big household with a lot of, family members who I didn't know at first. But I was different from them. I always knew I was different from them. How I knew I was different, because the things that I was doing wasn't matching up with my family, what they was doing. Not that I was an outsider. It's just that I was always different from them, and I knew I was going to be somebody different. Everybody has a special gift, man. You just got to find out what your gift is, and whatever it may be, you have to work on it. Let me put this in your minds. You're here. Everything works according to the purpose and plan of what God has for you. You have to follow His plan, whatever that may be, whatever you're good at, whatever you're trying to do, whatever. If you got to go back to school to get better understanding of what that job is about, go for it. If you want to start a business, go to school to do it. Learn from somebody that's been in the business of the same business that you're in. Learn from that person. If you want to be a successful nurse, you got to go hang around nurses and ask questions with nurses and go to nursing school and learn from nurses. You got to be around them. You can't be around people that are not nurses, because you're not being successful with that. Whatever it is that you have a purpose in doing, you got to find out what it is. Don't be ashamed, or don't feel low because you don't know more than an expert. It's not that they know more, it's just been there longer than you have. That's called experience. An experienced person will teach a person that's non-experienced how to do the job the way it's supposed to be done correctly. Not that they're correcting you, it's just that they want you to be safe and healthy. Safety is an important issue in any workforce. Any workplace, safety is important. That's why I think some managers and people on the job, they have to think about your safety, because it's important to them, and you should too. It's everyone's job to be safe. All right, you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. We will maybe talk about who knows. I'll surprise. Hey, if you want to send some videos of yourself, send me some videos. Subscribe. We're getting a jam session together. We can merge, FaceTime each other. Let's do this, man. Let's be on one accord. Let's all tell me about your day. Tell me about your story. What's been going on with you, and then we'll share. All right, guys. Until next time. Peace.